we're all searching for the truth or a truth, whether it be in art, science, math. I love form. I work with mostly pure geometry, meaning rarely will I work with curves that are based on ovals. They're usually arcs, a segment of a pure circle. Right angles are right angles. I work in degrees of 90 or 45 or 22.5 or 11.25 or 15, 30, 60. And that no one would ever really pick up on, but I still adhere to some kind of set of underlying rules for myself because I find a kind of truth in those rules and regulations. Now, of course, at times I break my rules too, but at least I have something to fight against, and something, a point of departure. I draw things that fascinate me subject-wise. I'm fascinated by women, and I have a whole body of work based on women. Fascinated by this idea of symbols of fanciness and wealth. I'm fascinated by art history and how art history is constructed and how it might be deceiving. And that's kind of the premise for art history. It's not linear. In the case of Virginia Museum of Fine Arts, I looked at the permanent collection and chose 200 objects from the collection and made drawings not necessarily based on those objects, and I think that might be a misconception, but I used those objects as points of departure for making drawings. So in some cases, yes, they're very blunt, and you can look at the final drawing and say, that came from this. In other cases, it involves a little more investigation to see how I came up with the final drawing based on the source. I was not interested in the most popular works. My interest was purely in the formal aspects of creating an interesting drawing. This project has turned into a kind of portrait of the museum. For as much as I love Warhol, I also try to be the anti-Warhol. Warhol famously said, I want to be a machine, or I wish I could be a machine. I don't want to be a machine, and I don't want to have a factory setup, and I'm not making paintings on an assembly line. I'm very concerned and interested in using my own homegrown ingredients, so to speak, meaning I make my own images, I make my own drawings, and I'm not interested in appropriation, and Warhol was. While I use silkscreen, which is kind of more of an industrial process, I don't use hinges, I don't use registration, I do it very incorrectly. And what that also means is that when I'm pushing paint through the screen, sometimes I'm fragmenting the image, sometimes I'm mixing paint on the screen, sometimes I'm misregistering, sometimes I'm allowing what's called a ghost image to appear. So I do the things that are incorrect as a way to have the process inform the painting, and also as a way to reveal my hand, so to speak. I think every artist, in trying to find a sense of truth, needs to build his own universe. And I think when one builds his own universe based on original ingredients, and this goes back to why I like to make my own drawings, then it's a universe that's more genuine, more authentic, more original.